One of my best tips when it comes to speaking, presenting more effectively, especially if you want people to really appreciate the information you're sharing, not ignore you, or not peg you as just some philosopher. You always need to remember that there needs to be a clear so what. I get it. There's stories you want to tell, there's research you want to share, there's a lot of interesting things in perspective. But if you don't package it for your audience in a way that makes it very practical, very applicable, very directly relatable to a problem they experience in their real life, they're only going to find so much utility in it. And that's tough, but it's a worthwhile endeavor because it makes you really dial in and narrow down and distill your content. You can think, all right, I really want to talk about this, but what's the practical application? How can somebody who's super busy use this? How can somebody that has this constraint use this? What does this mean? Why does this matter? And this especially pertains to something that I just talked about recently. Somebody said, hey, why is it so important to you that people reconceptualize leadership, not as a role, but as a social process that's really messy? And I said, well, that's simple. Because a lot of times people go into leadership roles with certain expectations and they're surprised when there's conflict. When we instead think of leadership as a social process and one that's messy, you realize that conflict is part of it. And it also reminds you that leadership's not just about you. Therefore, outcomes aren't solely dependent on you. And you're going to really have to focus in on the social dynamics of things to get stuff done. Now, here's where this applies in your life. Think back and I'll give them examples and I'll help them work through it. So think, what are the things you're most passionate about? What are the tips you'd give them? And then how can you make those things even more practical? If you want more details on this, make sure to check out our speaker school program. We are doing it in Phoenix, Arizona of this year. DM me for more details.